500,000 Lagosians.
720,000.
970,000.
Over 1 million Lagosians. They know that if you give me your afternoon, I will give you hard facts.
Well done, Sandra, on all you do, going beyond the headlines and focusing on the facts.
I am Sandra Ezekwesili, and these are your hard facts.
Hello, Lagos. Good afternoon. I am Sandra Ezekwesili, and these are your hard facts. First hard fact of the day: the Flying Eagles are out of the Under-20 World Cup. South Korea defeated them 2-0 yesterday in the quarterfinals. We're still proud of them for a great attempt. We're going to try again next time. Second hard fact of the day: resident doctors are insisting on a 200% pay raise. Remember, they went on strike over and over during the Buhari administration because of this. They're saying that they're going to give the new administration some breathing room to get it done, but their demand has not changed. 200% increase in their salaries. 1 million Lagosians listen to hard facts. They cannot be wrong. Thank you for tuning in every day. I've got a great show for you today. Starting with the big weekend, let's talk about the NLC's planned strike and the federal government's negotiations with the TUC. Then let's talk about SERAP's demand for transparency in the subsidy regime. And then let's talk about the Senate clipping the ICPC Chairman's wings. Chukwudi will bring you Checkpoint at 4 o'clock. And on the big hard fact, let's talk about the economics of the post-subsidy petroleum industry. I'm going to have two experts from the oil and gas industry answering your questions. As usual, we'll have news updates at the top of the hour every hour before I hand you over to the newsroom for the newsroom. But let's get started with today's big weekend Lagos. Again, I am Sandra Ezekwesili, and these are your hard facts.
It's a big weekend.
Should the NLC return to the negotiating table? Did NNPC break the law by raising petrol prices before July 1st? Should the federal government lift subsidy without accounting for missing subsidy money? Why is the Senate diluting the ICPC chairman's powers? Like I said, it was a big weekend, Lagos. Let's talk. The Nigeria Labour Congress is calling a general strike for Wednesday. That's in 2 days. The NLC has written to all its affiliate unions to tell their members to down tools on the 7th. The Congress says the hike in petrol price is illegal and subsidy was budgeted for until the end of June. The NLC refused to attend a negotiation meeting with the federal government on Sunday. They say that they won't negotiate until NNPC reverses the increase in pump price. NLC President Joe Ajero said, quote, "What they are doing is illegal because the Appropriation Act of 2023 has not been obeyed, which makes provision for subsidy till the end of June. So we cannot sit to negotiate. Let them revert so that we can all freely negotiate over the issues raised. In our meeting with them last Wednesday, we asked them to revert. NNPC acknowledged that the high rate was not official, but how come they adjusted pump meters across the federation? It was a negotiation not based on good faith," end quote. That's what NLC says. It's a very important point that the NLC boss is raising. It's not yet 1st of July. It's the 5th of June. So if the federal government budgeted for subsidy until July 1st, why has the pump price gone up already? Since the budget provided for subsidy by law until the end of June, what right did the NNPC have to raise prices before that? Is it because Bola Tinubu said subsidy is over during his inauguration speech? Does the word of the president overturn the budget, which was passed as a law? Is it because the federal government hasn't paid subsidy money to the NNPC this year? Because that's what Mele Kyari said. Mele Kyari is the MD of NNPC. He says the government owes his firm 2.8 billion naira in subsidy bills and they cannot shoulder the loss anymore. The government has neither confirmed nor denied this, by the way. But assuming this to be true, should the NNPC have simply raised prices as they have, or should they have, before today, dragged the federal government into arbitration over this money? Because either way, the NLC says no more negotiations until the pump price goes back down. The TUC, on the other hand, is negotiating with the federal government, and they've said that their main condition for accepting subsidy removal is if the federal government increases the minimum wage. I'm going to tell you more about that later. Meanwhile, Bayo Onanuga is accusing Ajero of being politically motivated. The NLC is, of course, affiliated to the Labour Party, LP, and Onanuga is accusing them of calling the strike to destabilize the Tinubu administration, whose legitimacy the LP is challenging in court. Onanuga said that Ajero is, quote, playing politics and is actually acting the script of the opposition Labour Party to destabilize the young Tinubu administration. Besides, one wonders whose interest Ajero is championing when he did not oppose the position of his Labour Party and presidential candidate who campaigned with the promise to scrap subsidy from day one if elected. NLC and TUC leaders knew since last year November that subsidy will be scrapped from July 1 as no provision has been made in the budget for it beyond the date. The federal government, which already commits 96% of its revenue in servicing debt, is not in any position to continue selling subsidized fuel, most of which is smuggled across our borders for criminal and obscenely unpatriotic profit, end quote. I have a cold. Apologies about that. But yes, Lagos, do you agree with Onanuga? Do you disagree with Onanuga that Joe Ajero of the NLC is playing Labour Party politics with this strike they're planning for Wednesday? Or do you agree with the union leader, Joe Ajero, that the government has handled the subsidy removal in an illegal and insensitive way? 0700-993-993-993 01465-7190. Lagos, let's talk. Men call me on 0700-993-993-993. Women call me on 01465-7190. We've got WhatsApp. WhatsApp is 080-959-75805. But away from the big grammar, talk to me about how the cost of fuel has affected you. The hike in petrol prices, how is it affecting you? WhatsApp is 080-959-75805. 99.3, hello.
Hello, Sandra.
Thanks for calling. What's your name, ma'am?
Sandra, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, it's
All
Happiness from Ikorodu.
Happiness, talk to me.
Sandra, that pointing of finger does not make sense right now. The person they should be calling is our ex-president. He cost everything. He removed it and he did not make provision. That is why there are lapses everywhere. So you should not point. Yeah, you should not point finger to the wrong person. You should be calling the ex-president. You should do you would have done the needful. And now that the needful has not been done, I don't know this recent one. Maybe you should do something that will ease the pain.
Okay.
Sandra, enjoy your day.
Happiness, enjoy your day. Happiness says, don't point fingers. The only person to blame here is a former president. 99.3.
Hello.
How you doing, sir? What's your name?
Yeah, my name is Ray.
Ray, welcome. Talk to me, Ray.
Yes. I have only one funny advice for President Tinubu.
Okay.
He needs to disengage himself from Bayo Onanuga. He's not doing it any good. They may not agree with me, but in future they will understand. Because most times he leaves the issue and begins to chase shadows. He's not doing the man any good, in my own opinion.
Okay.
Have a nice day.
All right, Ray. Thank you very much for calling. 99.3, hello.
Hello.
How you doing, sir? What's your name?
Good afternoon, Joyce. Sandra, sorry.
What's your name, sir?
Paul from Egweda.
Paul, welcome. Talk to me.
Yeah, Sandra, I support NLC call for strike. Because let's not remember, hello?
I'm here. Go ahead. Let's not
Yeah,
forget.
let's not forget that during the last administration of President Buhari,
Yes.
Ajero threatened to go on strike when MFLA, the central bank, was not rolling out money.
Right.
And these people that are persecuting him now clapped for him and cheered him. Then he was not seen as supporting a Labour Party or be partisan. I think since we don't have a good political opposition in the Nigerian setting, I think the Labour Congress stands for the Nigerian masses, and they are working for the Nigerian masses. He is not saying, because I listened to the interview, he never said the subsidy should not be removed. But what he said is that this subsidy had been captured to end at the last day of June by the last administration. And the last administration said that they should meet to fine-tune so that people will not feel the effect of it so much. Such meeting was not called. I want to believe that President Tinubu was overexcited during his inauguration. That was why the first statement he made was to voice out subsidy is gone. Because there is no plan on ground. Nigerians are suffering. 133 million dimensional poverty. Do you know what it means? There are many families in Nigeria today that goes to bed without eating. Hello.
I'm here. I'm listening.
Yeah, so the call for strike is a laudable call, and Nigerians should support it. When Obi was campaigning, I went back to play the question before I made this call now.
Okay.
Obi said subsidy will be removed, but it will be a gradual process to use whatever that is realized there to cushion the effect of the removal in the life of Nigerian people. Kerosene subsidy was removed. When I was traveling to Enugu, there is a project I was handling there. I bought a liter of kerosene here, 1,000 naira, because you can't find it in Enugu. That's kerosene. The same thing with diesel. Hello.
I'm here.
Yeah, so the use of this subsidy, those people that took this subsidy, since they say it's a scam, can't the Nigerian government go after them and recover this money that has been paid to them?
All right. Thanks for calling. We've got Christopher on the line. Hi, Christopher.
Yeah, my president. Sorry about your code.
Thank
Good
you.
afternoon.
Go ahead. Talk to me. Good afternoon.
Thank you. Quick one. Chief Paul has taken the word from my mouth about that cashless whatever. They will come out. Today, no money back. So, like you said, they will tell you that they will tell you that everywhere. So please, the ball is in Nigerian's court. If they like, the other said just leave office. If they like, they want to continue with this one. Thank you, President Sandra.
Thank you very much for calling. Bola Tinubu says, by the way, that the federal government and state governments need to rethink the minimum wage. He said this while meeting with APC governors in Aso Rock. The president said, quote, "We need to do some arithmetic and soul searching on the minimum wage. We will have to take a look at that together and the revenue. We must strengthen the source and application of our revenue." So Tinubu is not saying categorically that he will increase the minimum wage. He's saying that there is a need to raise it, but we have to weigh that against government revenue. He also seemed to take a shot at his predecessor, Muhammadu Buhari. He said, quote, "I've inherited the assets and liabilities of my predecessor," end quote. And he mentioned it again, this time speaking for the APC in general. He said, quote, "We have a political party that we will need to manage. Whichever way, we have inherited assets and liabilities and we cannot complain," end quote. Ooh. So it sounds like Tinubu is saying, look, I would love to increase minimum wage, but my hands are tied because I inherited these massive debt and repayments. Is that a criticism of his predecessor, do you think? And if you think that that's a criticism of Muhammadu Buhari, should Tinubu have been more vocal in criticizing Buhari while he was in office and borrowing heavily? And if Tinubu was not vocal then, does he have a moral right to be vocal now? 0700993993993. Are the federal and state governments in any position to adjust the minimum wage? Can Tinubu criticize Buhari now over debts and spending? 014657190. We've got WhatsApp. WhatsApp is 080-959-75805. 080-959-75805. Still to come, SERAP is asking the government to probe subsidy money. But let's talk about Tinubu talking about a need to take a look at minimum wage one more time. We're also live on Facebook, Nigeria Info 99.3, but the numbers to call are 0700-993-993-993. We've also got 01465-7190. Hello, thanks for calling us.
President Sandra.
Good to have you on the show, sir. What's your name?
How are you, my dear? My name is Prince Wise, calling you from a ward office.
Welcome, Prince Wise.
I think the president said that you see we have no cause to complain. That means not criticizing the former president. He's telling the governor where we are now.
Okay.
And everybody was bucking up. But this remove of subsidy, they are funny day. I'm not expecting Mr. President to rule it to see it. But it has happened. The best thing now for the Labour Congress, he should sit down with Mr. President and all the representatives for the government to demand what they want. Majority of Nigeria today, unless we are lying against ourselves, this subsidy is not helping us at all. Where NNPC is paying, they are borrowing money from NNPC to pay salary, to do things. The whole NNPC is about 2 or more than trillion. So even right now, what we get now is to go back to NNPC because we borrow from them. This subsidy they were talking about that is doing it is NNPC that will pay it. What I want the federal government to do now, don't let the NNPC be the sole importer of fuel. Let everybody come sing. Take the president NNPC managing director, they should probe him and let him go. First body we need right now. Okay. My director Sandra.
All
This is
right.
what I've seen. I agree with you.
Thank you very much for calling. We appreciate it. On WhatsApp, we've got this message here from Nonye in Ikorodu. Nonye says, it's amazing how people in government analyze issues. Independent marketers are demonized for hiking rates, so they'll be able to restock when they run out of stock. But NNPC did the same, and the same people praised NNPC. It's shameful. Ima from Festac says, Sandra, I believe that it's against the law. I believe subsidy has not been paid in over 8 years. Please, Sandra, put your searchlight on the direct purchase agreement with NNPC and marketers for clarification. No subsidy has been paid to subsidize fuel for Nigerian users. I urge you to look into it and find out the truth behind all of this. We need to fully understand the situation. It's not hidden, but they hide it in all their proclamations. I think it's all a scam. Ima from Festac with that message there. We've got this one here from Toby. Toby is in a cotton. Toby says, I really don't know in what capacity Onanuga Bayo or Alake is speaking. Increase the minimum wage will not solve the problem because our public workforce is about 2% of the population. Nigeria is really in a fix. Government only owing NNPC palliatives na story. I don't tire. Toby from a cotton with that message there. We've got this one here. Hi, Sandra. Bayo Onanuga saying that Nigeria is now playing politics is sort of sowing a bad credence. Let's address and look at the hard facts. Buhari administration made provision for subsidy January 1 to June 30, 2023. May 29, Tinubu said subsidy is gone. Mele Kyari said the NNPCL had product to last until June 30. May 30, while in negotiation with NLC, NNPC sent a circular increasing pump price to 488 minimum, despite saying enough stock, ostensibly a subsidized product, was in depot. So what is Onanuga bringing Labour Party into the call for NNPCL to revert to the status quo ante? APC kind of politics is threading a dangerous path for our country. Chris from Accra with that message there. All right, Chris, thank you very much for your message. Adegoke from Lekki says, Sandra, The NLC has very valid points that the government and the NNPC faulted, and I support the NLC strike. Onanuga will normally come out to attack, but we won't fall for his noise making. The fuel subsidy removal itself is a scam on its own. Some cabals will still cash out from the subsidy removal. It's a situation of taking food from one and giving it to another. Fuel subsidy removal will only keep feeding a few and punishing the majority. NLC is our only hope now that can help us tackle the government. We shouldn't just sit and take whatever the government throws at us just like that. If we're feeling the pains like this, how much more the less privileged and the people with disabilities? Does the government even care about them? Adegoke from Lekki with that message there. All right, Adegoke, thank you for your message. We've got this one here from Chief Mrs. in the USA. Chief Mrs. says, Sandra, why is everybody blaming a government that came in less than a week ago, if not personal vendetta against this current government? Blame Buhari and ask him questions. Where is the subsidy paid from beginning of the year till end of June? Are people paid not alive again to speak? All right. We've got Chief Mrs. from the US with that message there. All right, Chief Mrs., thank you for your message. Lagos, we'll take a break. When we come back, let's talk about SERAP wanting the president to probe missing subsidy funds under the Buhari administration. I am Sandra Ezekwesili. You're listening to Hard Facts on 99.3 Nigeria Info. We are the radio station of the year, so don't go away.
More news and information coming up. We'll be back in a moment.
Sincerely, I don't want to wait till I graduate from this school before I think of what to do with my life.
My music skills. Let me use my talent well, I beg.
I would like to be a radio presenter, but I don't know how to go about it.
But why is Timmy so quiet today?
Sorry, ladies. I'm taking this interesting course on how to become a professional scriptwriter. You too can also learn how to become a radio presenter on Wazobia Academy.
Wazobia Academy?
Yes, Wazobia Academy provides accessible and affordable online training in filmmaking, music business, fashion, radio hosting, and lots more. You also stand a chance to be selected for internship in leading production companies, radio stations, music, and fashion studios for hands-on experience. It's easy. Simply log on to www.wazobiaacademy.com or call 0908-826-5038 for more details.
Wazobia Academy. Learn and lead.
One play.ng. One play.ng. One play.ng. One play.ng. My brother, now every day people they win money on top one play.ng. From 25,000 go reach 1 million naira. And now only 100 naira you go use play. Yes, so 100 naira pere, you fit play many times. Wait till you they wait for. Make you dial *347*880 hash. Make you listen to the draw on Wazobia FM with Expensive from 8 p.m. On Cool FM with Kemi Smalls from 9 p.m. And on Nigeria Info with Ada Blessing from 10 p.m. So you go fit know if you don't win. One play na registered trademark of Lasho Trading Services Limited, where they licensed and regulated by Lagos State Lotteries and Gaming Commission.
Terms and conditions apply.
One play.ng. One play.ng. One play.ng.
99.3 Nigeria Info, your number one station for talk. Let's talk.
I'm Sandra Ezekwesili. You're listening to Hard Facts on 99.3 Nigeria Info. SERAP wants the president to probe missing subsidy funds under the Buhari administration. They say it's unfair to remove subsidy for the poor without probing misappropriation by the privileged. They have a few line items that they want the government to investigate, all taken from past government reports, usually from the Accountant General. So they want the government to probe failure of NNPC to remit 663.8 billion naira into the Federation account. The Auditor General fears that money may be missing. Failure of NNPC to account for the allocation of 107 million barrels of crude oil without any documentation. The Auditor General believes that the crude, valued at 55.8 billion naira, may have been diverted. Failure of NNPC to remit 1.9 trillion naira of generated revenues into the Federation account in 2019. NNPC's failure to account for 4.5 billion naira of domestic gas receipts. Failure of NNPC to account for 22,929 litres of PMS pumped from refineries and valued at 7 billion naira. The Auditor General fears that the PMS may have been diverted. Failure of the Department of Petroleum Resources, DPR, in 2019 to remit $1.2 billion revenue to the Federation account. SERAP says that Tinubu's administration needs to probe these things from Buhari's administration. Do you agree? Do you agree with SERAP that the federal government must probe this missing money if it wants to remove subsidy? 0700-993-993-993. That's for men. Women, call us on 01465-7190. We've got WhatsApp too. WhatsApp is 080-959-75805. 080-959-75805. That's for WhatsApp. And of course, we're streaming live on Facebook. Facebook is Nigeria Info 99.3. We're also streaming on YouTube. YouTube is Nigeria Info FM. Hi, thanks for calling us.
Sandra, my sister, good day. This is Obi calling from Ikeja.
Obi, welcome. Talk to me.
Yeah, SERAP is on point. Buhari and Kiari should be cooling in EFCC by now.
Okay.
Because they've mismanaged our words, sincerely speaking. All these things were doing. If people want us to believe him, he should probe these people. If he wants to remove subsidy, people will believe him. For Bayer and Onoganda, we are finished election now. We are no longer in election mood now. They should let Nigeria be. The Labour Party, everything Labour Party. Ajero, when Ajero blocked electricity, when he removed the airports and everywhere from the grid, they didn't see it. Ajero is a compendium of toughness. They don't see as a small. Wait, not for that year. If you think you can push him, Sandra. If you don't know Ajero, you never know anything. Bye-bye, my sister.
Bye-bye, Obi. Thank you very much for calling. Okay. Let's take a look at messages we've got on WhatsApp. This one says, Sandra, what this government has done is to perform abortion before pregnancy. Even if they decide to go back to the initial price tomorrow, the amount of money the Nigerian business vampires have made is in the trillions of naira. Bayo Onanuga's statement should be ignored and seen as a statement of someone that is... I cannot read that on air. I stand with NLC and I uphold their principles on this subsidy removal. The success and failure of every Nigerian president, governor, etc. is in their inauguration speech. Adegboyega Adedeji with that message there. All right, Adegboyega Adedeji, thank you for your message. Toby from Ikoton says, Sandra, I laugh when I heard that government should probe Buhari's administration. APC government to probe another APC government. Liars will never be believed, even when they're saying the truth. One day, the bushmeat will cuckoo catch the hunter. All right, Toby. Thanks for your message. Genesis from Bariga says, SERAP should keep quiet. Where were they in the 80 years of Buhari when the money was being swallowed by monkeys and snake? Well, they were shouting. There's one thing about SERAP shouts a lot. Like SERAP talks a lot and takes government to court a lot. If there's one NGO that is always taking the government to court, it is SERAP. So you are actually inaccurate when you say, where were they? For every time there's a corruption allegation, SERAP is in court. SERAP is speaking up. SERAP is in the media. 99.3, hello.
Hello.
How you doing, sir?
Yeah, how you doing?
I'm very well. What's your name?
My name is Wale.
Talk to me, Wale.
Yeah. The first thing I would like to say is Nigerians should be reasonable. What I mean is, let's forget anything about probing. That can never happen.
Okay.
What we should do now is let's negotiate with the government.
Okay.
And this subsidy we are talking about is going to stay. It's going to stay. Nobody is in support of it, but let's negotiate. Something must be done about this pricing, and the price must be reduced. That's it. Let us be reasonable. That's all. And the NNPC should stop telling us that it ought not to have started now. It should start sometime in July. It doesn't make sense. Anyhow, it will start. So the earlier we get used to it, the better. Let's go negotiate with the government and reduce the price. Okay. We know it's to be removed, but yet we should negotiate a better pricing. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Wale, for calling. All right. We've got Kenny joining us from Finland. Hi, Kenny.
Hi, Sandra.
How you doing?
So, about SERAP, I don't know. Why are they asking for something that is impossible?
Is it impossible?
It's impossible, my sister.
I don't think it's impossible. It could happen.
Okay, continue your belief. Have faith. Tinubu will prove
It could happen.
Okay, I hear you. About Ononuga, I think Ononuga and APC are just they thrive on divide and conquer. They did it a lot during the election campaign. They did it with Afenifere. They did it with the issue of pastors and things like that. So again, they have started. They did it with ASU. So now they're about to do it with NLC. So NLC should just be careful because otherwise they will render them useless at some point. So what I would say is this: subsidy is definitely going to stay, even though Tinubu made a very careless statement in his inauguration. He should have waited, even though it was not even part of his inaugural speech anyway. So what they should do now is he has made the damage has been done. There needs to be negotiation. So they should negotiate and give them some timelines. And so when those timelines are not met, then they can go on strike. Then they would have a legitimate reason for people to really support them. Because as it is now, the way they are going about it, if NLC goes on strike, they are going to introduce all these tribal party things and stuff. So NLC has to be calculative and say, okay, how can we step up our game so that we can really hold this government accountable? So negotiate, give timelines. If those timelines are not met, then you can go on a full-blown strike. So that's what I would say about this whole saga.
All right. Thank you, Kenny, for joining us from Finland today. 99.3. Hello.
Hello.
Thanks for calling. What's your name, ma'am? Hi.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. What's your name?
This is Joy calling.
Joy, what's funny? Waiting this up.
You know why they laugh?
Waiting make you laugh.
Sarah say me they prove who.
No.
We are so funny in this country. So, oh God. It's painful. I'm just laughing. And we too, we will just agree, say yes. You're saying the right thing, say the right thing.
Are they not saying the right thing? I mean, if someone is failing to remove
money. He's saying the right thing at the wrong time. Because he know it cannot happen. He know. So make it not a whine up.
But also, under Buhari, they were calling for probe. Every time money went missing, they called for a probe. They've always called for probes. So how is it the wrong time?
I said these people cannot prove Buhari government. That is what I'm saying now.
Okay.
Okay. The same people cannot prove each other now, except a new government come in that is not corrupt also, that can be able to ask their question where this money has been going since all this year. This NRC that wants to go on strike. What is NEPA issue on this matter? Never want to go on strike also.
They are also in union now, so they will also down tools.
So there is no light for the country. They want to shut more light up. Is it fair for the common man on the street? Me, I don't support that their strike.
Okay.
You know why?
Why?
Because when they're supposed to support those children, you know those children were protesting for the good of this country that we are in toll gate. Are they sleeping that time? They did support them, and what happened, we know. So now, the one that they will gain from, that is what they want to do. So I'm not in support of that strike, because I will not suffer for another man to increase his own wealth. That is how I see this thing.
All right, thank you, Joy. We've got Emeka in Lagos. Hi, Emeka.
Hi, Sandra. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Welcome. Talk to me.
Okay, I want to start with something my mom said a few days ago when I was talking to her. And I'll say it in Igbo so it translates. My mom said, Buhari go roko, kunye Tinubu naka. Because I really don't understand what's happening with this subsidy stuff. So is it that the one subsidy that has been paid till end of July, at the end of June,
budgeted
they want to embezzle it or what? What's going to happen to the one that has been budgeted for? That's what I want to find out first. And I support the strike, because Sandra, between me and you, I bought fuel, 30 liters of fuel on Saturday. I just wanted to have a small boat, so I wanted to take my kids around, just to cruise around.
Okay.
Sandra, that fuel only took me from Lekki Phase 1 to just the shores of Ikoyi. I didn't even go far.
Right.
The thing was already half.
Right.
That's how the captain told me that this fuel, we don't have another one. No, let's just go back before the fuel go finish for road. And Sandra, we did not get anywhere. It was not up to 1 hour. Oh boy, that's how 15,000 naira finished. 30 liters is 15k finished.
Yeah.
I told my children that this boat, we are going to pack it for the meantime. Yes, but that's the truth. We have to pack it. Now, if you want to go to Ilashe, to rent boat now, 20-seater boat now is like between 4 and 500k.
How much was it before?
My birthday, I rented for 180, 170, 180.
My goodness, so double the price.
Yes. So now it's more than double the price.
More than double, yeah.
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 So, this thing, we don't know where this thing is going to yet. My captain said, we're like 2% of Lagosians that own a boat. So,
true, you're not one of us, to be honest.
Yeah, but a lot of people come from Ikorodu to the island.
To the island by boat, yes, but I agree.
Yeah, by boat. So how would they make it to work?
Good question. Good question, Emeka. Thank you very much for calling. By the way, there's a controversy over the Senate's attempt to reduce the powers of the ICPC chairman. Have you been following that story? The Senate just passed some amendments to the ICPC Act. Various newspapers are reporting that the amendments will take powers from the ICPC boss. Here's some of what the amendment is said to contain. First, it turns the ICPC board into a commission. Then, it transfers some of the chairman's powers to that commission. For example, the chairman is the one who gives standing orders to the commission. In law enforcement, a standing order is a directive for how officers should perform their day-to-day duties, right? So, for example, the IG of the police is the one who gives standing orders to the entire police force. Same with the ICPC boss for the ICPC. But if this bill becomes law, the ICPC boss loses that power. Instead, the commission will be the one to give and repeal standing orders. So basically, the day-to-day running of the ICPC will be out of the chairman's hands. Also, the commission will now be able to sit without the chairman. Under the current law, the chairman must be a part of any quorum of the board. But under the amendment that the Senate passed, the commission can form a quorum without the chairman. This bill has moved from the Senate to the House of Reps, but it has stalled at the House of Reps. Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila says that the House needs to look at the bill very well because he's getting lots of complaints. Let me read what he said to you. He said, quote, people have called me and I want to actually look at it and study it. I will advise that all of us get a hold of this bill coming from the Senate and have a good look at it because it will come up maybe on Tuesday so that we can look at it thoroughly and know whether it is worth the amendment or not. I've had calls even from the ICPC chairman who I haven't even spoken to before, so it is better to err on the side of caution on this particular one. We'll step it down till Tuesday, end quote. Very interesting stuff. It's very interesting that this bill is appearing right now. Because for the last few months, the ICPC has been clashing with some lawmakers over constituency projects. The ICPC has a program called the Constituency and Executive Projects Tracking Initiative, CEPI, right? And the Punch newspaper is reporting that CEPI just identified a new batch of uncompleted projects worth 45 billion naira. So there's some speculation that this move to weaken the ICPC chairman is a retaliation or an attempt to remove the teeth of the ICPC. I wonder if you see it that way. But it's definitely interesting that this is happening at this time. What is your view of these proposed amendments to the ICPC Act? Should a board or commission have control over standing orders in a law enforcement agency? Or should the chief executive be allowed to act alone? 0700-993-993-993. That's for men. Women call me on 01465-7190. We've got WhatsApp as well. WhatsApp is 080-959-75805. And yes, you can talk to me about the rest of our stories from today's big weekend. Hi, how you doing?
Sandra, good evening.
Good evening. What's your name, sir?
You don't read, do.
What's
Sandra,
your name? Yes.
is there any day that is a news we need to read?
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
Sandra, you know the Nigeria. I go probe you.
Ah.
I go probe you, but give me that 1.5, but you know 1 pay us. You must give me that 1.5. Madam Sandra.
Sir.
Yes, you said, is this SERAP? What is it called?
SERAP, yes. Mm-hmm.
Those are the only organization that I've seen that have been screwing government. I think they've even got some good judgment.
Yes. They've gotten a number of good judgments.
Yeah, they're the only one. Other human rights people now talk, they talk. Sandra, you see what's paying for this subsidy issue?
Waiting paying you.
As a commodity, if they bring policies, I bet you after 6 months, they go scrap them. All the policies go spoil. See, BRU, tell me that AC they work for BRT. When the Lagos State government get them. How many AC they work again? See how the boss is dirty. See how all the boss is dirty. They don't come on subsidy. So they want to use the money. If they increase state government welfare, they go use humongous contract. Finish the money. Say money no reach. The only way for still make subsidy, the only way for make this subsidy say they for work is the ESCC they work. I bet you nobody for the tip billions like that. They go 2 million so, but no go enter billion. All the contract wey Buhari give, the same meeting we probe Buhari. We not forget the thing we they probe. For Lagos State government, who hold to bring back money when be governor for 8 years. Go back to history. Go to that person on the voice when you probe. They probe. Buhari when the probe master, if the commission to if you probe again. Maybe they say they go bring aeroplane. First and call away the aeroplane. Nigeria Air will say the other where the aeroplane go. What do you do? Everybody should not keep quiet. Look, they don't carry rope, tie boat. Tie the boat, tie for the shore of river. Nothing will do. Nothing except we come together, agree, say enough is enough before you go work. Subsidy won't go. Even for I buy today, 5,000, 10 liter. The motor gauge even shake like say for a day. Shame can they catch me. Sandra, you don't read.
Malik, thanks for calling. Malik says shame catch up. My dear, all of us broke now. They don't get rich man again. They don't get rich man, they don't get poor man. Everybody did the same level now. Because all of us, they suffer the same thing now. We've got messages on WhatsApp. Let me take a look at it. This one here is from Doyin. Doyin says, there's nowhere in the PIA 2022 that fixed the date for implementation for June ending. The federal government only postponed it till June. By provisions of the PIA Act, subsidy regime vanished on February 17, 2022, which was 6 months after the enactment. So there's nothing illegal in the removal of subsidy now or later. We must also appreciate the difference between budgeting for something and actually releasing the money for it. The federal government has not released money for any June subsidy. By the way, NNPC said federal government is even owing arrears of subsidy money. All right, Doyin, thanks for your message. Oluwafemi says, it's just a pity that Nigerians are helpless from the power blocks, the political parties, politicians, and government MDAs. NNPC that transformed to a public liability company has been busy accumulating liability for the masses. The income from the only major resources for the country are diverted and divided among the power blocks. Therefore, the probe people are asking for cannot yield results. The government of the day will not get anything out of the probe. It will just be an exercise in futility. Oluwafemi, thanks for your message. Kingsley Benny Boy from Aja says, Fear Wahala, it's all fraud. All right. Authentic from Satellite Town says, Sandra, permit me to ask this question. This subsidy, is it not the same subsidy that former President Goodluck Jonathan wanted to remove that the current government kicked against? Yes, it is the same one. We've got Abe who says, Sandra, Bele for the cold. Thank you, Abe. Abe also says, has SERAP ever won any court case against the federal government since they started taking them to court? Yes, they've won several. SERAP shouts, complains, but nothing comes out of it. That's not true. SERAP has won a few battles. Do they even have big lawyers who could help them drag the federal government by the neck? Yes, I think Femi Falana is one of their major lawyers, if not on the board. But yes, Femi Falana is one of their big ones. We've got Mr. God's Power on WhatsApp who says, Wisdom is very important in all we do. President Buhari should have applied wisdom in his inauguration speech that subsidy is gone by first meeting with stakeholders to put measures in place to cushion the effects of the subsidy removal. Bayo Onanuga should stop chasing shadows because LP president is a very peaceful man who does not encourage violence against government. There should be a probe on these subsidy payments, both Buhari government and NNPC. All right, Mr. God's Power, thank you for your message. President Sandra, probing cannot be possible because it's not part of the package. Subsidy was removed from the budget for the year that the new administration is running with the budget. Tinubu is magnanimous enough to have raised this issue and not even including himself because he kept on coming out to explain things to us and why they've taken the steps that they're taking. He's also thinking in the right direction because for him to have thought of minimum wage, it's also positive thinking. Well, he says, they need to look at it. He didn't give any guarantees. The secular flow of income in economics is to say that what goes around comes around, but for a moment, because it will fade out soon when the economy is in balance. I'm not sure I understand that particular paragraph. Tinubu mentioned that other African countries are benefiting from this deal and why they seem to be having a better strengthened currency, but now they're also re-strategizing. The NLC, NNPC, federal government, TUC, NUPENG, and Pengason as stakeholders should sit down and think about the interests of Nigeria and not some sets of people. Nigeria will be great again. Thank you. All right, Olasheni, thank you for your message. We've got more messages here. Buhari can be probed if a country that the system is working, but for Nigeria, no history of such. Chinedu with that message there. We've got Onefa. That's Z. Z says, the ideal thing is to find out what happened to these missing and mismanaged subsidy payments. But will President Tinubu probe his predecessor? The answer is blowing in the air. All right. Thanks for your message. Don Young from Iwaya says, President Sandra, if I may ask, which corruption was my former president fighting all these years? SERAP cases is everywhere in court and I've not heard any result yet, but I back SERAP for the moves. Yeah, like I said, SERAP gets a number of victories. Now, of course, do they implement some of the court verdicts? You know how that goes. Greenish says, we are having excess of power for days it's been on. I'm more concerned about the prepaid meter. It will finish quick. All right, Greenish. Thank you for your message. Well, at least if you spend like 20K or 30K on your prepaid meter, the light will last you maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, at least for me. But you spend that 30K buying fuel, which is what I spend now on my generator because my generator is a big one. You spend that 30K buying fuel, you run the generator for 24 hours and, it's gone in 2 days. So I would much rather have a lot of light and I'm buying credit for light, than not have light and have to buy fuel for my generator. Man, I don't want that at all. We've got Ochonoga Samson who says, please tell Kiari and government that global price of oil should match global standard of living. Are we living as the other oil producing countries are living? Arab world refers. All right, Ochonoga Samson, thank you for your message. This final message here before we take a break is from Nkem. Nkem is in a cotton. Ikem says, please, how long shall we continue to buckle up and tighten our belts, according to Prince YS? He's always supporting APC government against the masses. We, the masses, are going through a tough time. Government should do the needful. Tinubu has no local standing to complain about anything because he never saw anything bad in Buhari. All right, Nkem, thank you for your message. We've got about 1 minute before we have to take a break. So let me see if I can squeeze in another message from WhatsApp. David from Aguda says, strike will not solve the problem. Nigerian people are suffering. That will increase more suffering for the people. All right. This one here says, politicians are using our money to buy bulletproof Range Rover and Toyota Prado, and they're asking us to make sacrifices. They should first make sacrifices. All right. Olushoga from Mile 12 says, Nigerians, stop believing whatever the callers you heard on Hard Facts say. The comments are usually full of bias and half-truths, and most of the callers are usually from a certain part of the country. Olushoga, you need help. All right. Let's see. Do we have more comments? Okay. No. Lukman Olatunji says, The president cannot be vocal now because he's among those that imposed Buhari on the country. Lagos. We'll take a break. When we come back from this break, we'll see if we have time to take a few more calls. I'm Sandra Ezekwesili. Don't go away.
When you're getting stressed and you need to relax.
Also available as Super Malt capsules for energy and vitality. Get yours today in pharmacy near you. Super Malt, your reliable multivitamin.
The biggest football fan festival in Nigeria is back. Goalfest 2023. Performing live, international superstar Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Imole himself, Mo back.
Listen to this one like this. Been through many things, many.
And the energy god himself, D.O. to the T.U.N.
Ladies and gentlemen, they call me the energy god #1.
And many more. Goalfest 2023 will also feature exciting games, food, comedy, and you can watch the UEFA Champions League finals on a huge screen. Goalfest 2023 will take place on the 10th of June at the Balmoral Convention Center, Federal Palace Hotel, Ahmadu Bello Way, Victoria Island, Lagos. Time 2 p.m.
Get your free tickets now.
www.goalfestnigeria.com. Limited tickets available, so hurry. Goalfest 2023 is powered by Femi and the Gang and the Football Republic. Proudly refreshed by Pepsi. Sponsored by BetWinner.
Supported by Indomie, media partner, Super Sports.
Welcome back to your #1 talk, news, and sports station. This is Nigeria Info.
We talked about NLC's planned strike and the federal government's negotiations with the TUC. We talked about SERAP's demand for transparency in the subsidy regime. Then we talked about the Senate clipping the ICPC chairman's wings. Now, of course, if you tuned in just now, then you missed us talking about SERAP listing all of the money that they think has been misappropriated. They say that the Tinubu administration needs to probe the Buhari administration for the failure of NNPC to remit 663.8 billion naira into the Federation account. The Auditor General fears that that money may be missing. Failure of NNPC to account for the allocation of 107 million barrels of crude oil without any documentation. Auditor General believes that that crude, valued at 55.8 billion naira, may have been diverted. Failure of NNPC to remit 1.9 trillion naira of generated revenues into the Federation account in 2019. NNPC's failure to account for 4.5 billion of domestic gas receipts. Failure of NNPC to account for 22,929 liters of PMS pumped from refineries and valued at 7 billion naira. The Auditor General of the Federation fears that the PMS may have been diverted. Failure of the Department of Petroleum Resources in 2019 to remit 1.2 billion naira in revenue to the Federation account. And SERAP says that government needs to answer to that. SERAP says the president needs to probe missing subsidy funds under Buhari. They say it's unfair to remove subsidy for the poor without probing misappropriation by the privileged. And so they listed these line items. What do you think? We've got about 1 minute before we have to bring you business news, so let's take one call. 99.3, hello.
Finally, you took me as the last call. Sandra, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Max, and I'm in traffic at Bega.
Talk to me, Max.
Okay, so Max, you see that list that SERAP listed?
Yes.
It still remain. It still remain.
Okay.
As in, what's this name? There's this online lady who said that 3 years ago, NNPC Kaduna had spent over 110 billion. And there was no record. So it still remains. That's what you see in our preamble.
Okay.
So, but for me, the ICPC chairman being clipped is because these guys are afraid. Somebody is about to attack you. What do? You weaken him. But if the house is smart, I think they would keep a hold on that thing, because now somebody is about to checkmate you for all you've been doing for the past 8 years.
Right.
And then you are afraid. If you are not afraid, let the person do his investigation now. Sandra,
Abi?
God will save us in this country.
Max, thank you very much for calling. We appreciate it. That's all the time I have on today's Big Three, but don't go away because at 4 o'clock, Chukwudi will be here to bring you checkpoints. And then at 5 o'clock, I have two experts who will join me from the oil and gas sector. And they're going to be talking about the economics of subsidy removal. I've been getting so many questions. People have been asking me, well, why is Mele Kyari saying, for instance, that even if we're refining locally, it's still not going to be as cheap as Nigerians expect it to be? And people are asking me, okay, well, what do you mean by that? If we're paying money to ship it out and ship it back in, and we're no longer paying that money, why is it still the same cost? All of those questions you have about the economics of the removal of the subsidy, I've got two experts from the oil and gas sector who'll be joining me at 5 p.m. to try and answer those questions for you. So Lagos, don't go away. This is Hard Facts on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
It's 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock.
And I want to assume that you would run because I want to give the listeners context for the conversation.
In 2019, you were running mate to Atiku Abubakar. What did you learn then that you will not repeat this time?
Yes, when is the president coming out to address us?
There's a few things. One, I have a burden and a passion for young people.
The fact that you have elected a man does not mean then you begin to order him around. The president will do whatever is good for the country at any given time.
Mr. Adeshino, isn't the president responsible to the people?
What should the next president do to root out stakeholders who are complicit?
You fire those. Those that need to be fired are fired. It's looking like a brand new Chelsea, attacking with so much fluidity. And what can you say about that, Martin? I know you follow Chelsea quite closely.
I live close to the Chelsea training ground. That's what you mean by that. I'm not.